Hey everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about the standard metagame, where we're going to take all the decks that 5-0'd leagues, 3-1 or 4-0'd prelims, or top 32 challenges, and see what decks are the most popular in the overall winners-ish metagame, and then also within the top 8 metagame, and sort of analyze those decks and see why they're successful. Let's do it. So the most popular deck at the top of standard right now is a tie from this past week between Rakdos Midrange and Esper Legends, with a very small gap followed by Mono Red Aggro. Rakdos Midrange is really similar to the deck that's dominating Pioneer right now. It's on the back of cards like Bloodtithe Harvester, Fable the Mirrorbreaker, Shieldred the Apocalypse, running creatures that are very, very good, and running removal spells, looking to 1-for-1 their opponent, and then pull ahead with their powerful creatures, and card selection engines like Fable the Mirrorbreaker. Some Rakdos midrange decks do this really cool thing where they seek to discard Atraxa Grand Unifier and reanimate them with Cruelty of Gix. They also run lands, and between their treasures and these lands, in the deep late game, they can actually cast Atraxa as well. So many of these midrange decks are not just 1-for-1 decks, but also have some cool and interesting tricks up their sleeve. The Esper Legends deck is exactly what it sounds like. It plays Esper legendary creatures. Sometimes in the main deck, they play some Go for the Throat. And then they have other sideboard instant sorceries, but otherwise, this is just lands and creatures. Now, these legends are very powerful, and that's the main reason you're playing them, but also you can play Plaza of Heroes as basically a rainbow land that has extra utility, which makes the deck even more powerful. And then Mono Red Aggro is your classic aggressive deck, playing extremely cheap creatures, burn spells, often some synergies between those creatures and burn spells, and are attempting to kill their opponent as fast as possible. I don't know if there's anything much to say about Mono Red Aggro, though some of the newer versions are also playing Fable the Mirrorbreaker, which is disgusting, and kind of what Mono Red needs for, the mid-range games and the long games, against these decks, especially in just like a black mid-range world like the rest of this standard format is. If we look at the top 8 metagame, there are 2 standard challenges from this past weekend. We see at the top, unsurprisingly, is Rakdos Midrange, but also besides Rakdos Midrange is Jeskai Control. And then in second is a Grixis Midrange deck. So let's check out the Jeskai Control and Grixis Midrange decks. Jeskai Control is sort of like the Blue-Eye Control deck that had floated around the format a little bit, but is playing cards like Wandering Mind, Abrade, and most importantly, Fable the Mirrorbreaker to sort of pull ahead, have that little extra aggression that your opponent has to worry about. But besides that, is playing removal spells, is playing board wipes, is playing counter spells, and powerful planeswalkers like Wandering Emperor to control their opponent, apply pressure, and eventually win the game. And Grixis Midrange is sort of like Red-Black Midrange, most of the time minus the Atraxa thing. Grixis Midrange was the former best deck in the format, and now Grixis Midrange is sort of doing the same thing as Red-Black Midrange. It's playing Bloodtithe Harvester, efficient creatures, efficient removal spells, all on the back of Fable the Mirrorbreaker, but doesn't really care about the Atraxa stuff most of the time, and is still trying to 1-for-1 and get that card advantage by 1-for-1ing efficiently. But even though it might not be the agreed upon best deck anymore, it is still very, very good, obviously. But that is the overall standard metagame. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.